Hi, leaders. My name is Tyler Dippery. I am a certified John Maxwell team speaker, coach, and trainer, and I love leadership. And more importantly, I love helping leaders take their next step in their leadership journey, because leadership is not just something you're born with. It's a skill that we can develop. And so in this series, we're going to take a look through the 21 Irrefutable Laws of Leadership by John Maxwell. This is in connection with information you can find at my blog at tylerdippery.com, because I believe this book, the 21 Irrefutable Laws of Leadership, I believe it's the preeminent book on leadership. And if you're looking to grow or get started in leadership, you need to check out this book. So what we're going to do in this series is we're going to go step by step, law by law, and look at what John Maxwell says we need to know about leadership. So let's go ahead and let's jump right in with law number one, law of the lid. So first thing that we need to know is leadership ability is the lid that determines a person's level of effectiveness. This is a quick definition of the law of the lid. It's the idea that whatever leadership ability you have, that is your cap for your organization. That is your cap for your team. Your team will not go beyond what you will lead them to. And this makes sense, right? We understand that if a leader is important, which I believe it is, that a team is not going to be able to go beyond their leader. And this is why it is so key that we continue to grow and to expand our leadership. It reminds me of someone trying to lift something that they're just not able to do. See, if you're a leader, you've got to be able to grow. You've got to grow your leadership constantly, or eventually your team and your organization is going to hit your lid. I like to think of it like a person lifting weights, that the things that you could do at one point in your life, with lots of practice and discipline, they become much easier. So even in this picture, it may be something that this weight is heavy for you right now. But with practice and training and persistence, it eventually becomes something that you can do with little to no effort. But yet, if you don't practice, if you're not intentional about your growth, and you just come to this bar and try to lift it, there will be one day that the weight on each side is just too much for you to be able to lift. And the sad part about that story is your organization either stops growing or you have to find a new leader. I love this story about McDonald's. So if you know the history of McDonald's, it was not founded by Ray Kroc. Now, Ray Kroc has a great story, and there's lots of things that are documented about him, but it was actually started by the McDonald brothers. And they were in Southern California, and they started this restaurant, and it was a huge success. People would come from all over to be a part and to get burgers and food from McDonald's. The problem was they just weren't able to scale. They were capped by their leadership. Now, I want to be very clear. Having a cap on your leadership is not a problem, because look, we all have a cap. And it's not like the McDonald brothers did anything wrong. It's just the reality is they tried to grow McDonald's for several years, and they never got over 10 locations. There was a leadership cap. But then this guy, Ray Kroc, comes in. And he actually partners with the McDonald brothers, and he starts to streamline some things, and his leadership ability and his sacrifice level was much higher. And so then within a 5-year period of when he bought out the McDonald brothers, he opened up 100 stores. 5 years later, 500. And then now that company is all around the world. In fact, there's probably a McDonald's not very far from where you're located right now. See, the story of McDonald's is a story of a leadership and a leader coming in and elevating the lid on that organization. This is why it's so important that we do that. You may be asking, well, how do I grow my leadership? What do I do to make sure that my lid goes from here to here? Well, I'm glad you asked, because here's a few suggestions for me. There's several different ways you can do this, but being intentional about your growth is huge. The first way that you can do it is through books. I'll recommend two that I think are just absolutely key and super helpful for any of you looking to grow and develop. The first one is the book that we're reviewing right here. It's the 21 Irrefutable Laws of Leadership. I'm just telling you, this is gold here. It is worth any price that you have to pay. It is incredible. But today, there's also another book. It's called Developing the Leader Within You 2.0. If you really want to get intentional and take very practical steps, this is a great way to start developing the leader within you. Now, there are leadership books, and there are tons and tons of great ones. If you want other recommendations, feel free to comment. Go to my website, tylerdippery.com, or go to my Facebook page, Tyler Dippery Performance Coaching. Leave me a comment, like it. I would love to give you any recommendations. There are tons of great leadership books out there. These are just a few that I really love. But you can do not only books. Some of you are going, I don't want to read a book. I haven't read a book since junior high. Okay, what about a podcast? Because I don't know about you, but I spend a lot of time in my car driving to and from places, and I love turning on podcasts and hearing what they have to say. Here are two of my favorite. And the thing that I think makes separates a good podcast from a great one is the practicality and the ability to implement some of these things. And I think these two podcasts do that really well. The first one I would recommend is called Lead to Win. It's with Michael Hyatt and his daughter, Megan Hyatt Miller. They are great leadership. They have different topics, everything from how to manage your calendar and time blocking to other types of leadership development. It's a great, great podcast. And then the other podcast I would recommend, don't ask me, I'm glad that it's here on the screen because I would have no idea how to spell his name. But the podcast is called the Carey Nieuwhof Leadership Podcast. Now, this podcast, it brings in guests from all types of fields. So you'll have different pastors, you'll have the guys from the Ritz-Carlton, you'll have business leaders. It is a wide range. And I love this podcast because it helps give me a wide range of leaders in the things that they do. Now, I'll be honest, I don't listen to every single podcast, but he releases, I think it's 2 a week. So there's lots of content. And I'm telling you, it is really, really good. Again, if you want other recommendations for podcasts, I have several, but these are two that I would really stand behind, and this is where I would start. But if you need more than just this, feel free to hit me up on my Facebook or even on my website. Leave a comment there. I'd love to give you more recommendations. Finally, we can have books and we can have podcasts, and these are ways that we can learn and grow. But some of you are just going, I don't want to learn anymore. I just want to do. Because let's be honest. The key to all this isn't learning. It's actually implementing the things that we know to be true and we know or we should be doing and actually going and doing it. Action beats theory every time. Even if your action isn't perfect, if you get started and get going, you'll figure it out on the way. So here are some things that I think you could do to get started. So if maybe you're in a position where, hey, it's not natural. You're not just everybody's boss. And so you're not able to grow your leadership supernaturally. So one of the things you can do to be able to grow this is take some of these steps. Here's the first one. Go to your work, go to your boss and say, let me be responsible for a project. Not just a task, a project. A project where you can lead it, you can provide some organization, you can provide some leadership, maybe perhaps for a team, and this will really stretch you and grow you. Now, let me be very frank here. This does not mean that your boss will not have impact or have some ability to talk into this project. That's all about leadership. Leadership, it doesn't mean that you don't have people speaking into you or you don't have other people over you. Leadership is just influencing and leading others, guiding others in the process. So don't feel like if you get this project that your boss can't speak into it, because if that's the case, you're probably not going to get another project. but feel free to ask for a project. It's a great way. I'll tell you, as a boss, I love when employees say, give me that thing, I'll run with it. Man, it takes a huge weight off of me, and I love that they're going to own it. Now, of course, be ready for feedback and be open to feedback because it's only going to make you better. Now, others of you may be going, hey, I don't know. I'm not sure that I want to volunteer for a project or something like that at work. Great, no problem. Find a place to volunteer, whether it's a church or a nonprofit. I'm telling you, nonprofits need volunteers for everything. Go somewhere and volunteer. Start volunteering, and eventually they may even ask you to lead one of those volunteer areas. That's even better. Just because it's volunteer, just because you're not paid, doesn't mean that you're not developing your skills. In fact, I would say that leading volunteers is actually more difficult than leading people that you're paying. Why? Because you're leading them and you have no control over them coming, right? They literally have to be there because they want to if they're volunteers. So that's another great way that you can grow your skills. You don't even have to wait for your work to give you leadership opportunities. You can go create them on your own through volunteer opportunities. Last thing. Now, some of you may just be going, I don't feel comfortable doing any of those things. That seems super extroverted. Here's a great step that you can take that is a first step. It's not the last, but it's a first step. Throw a party. Throw a dinner party with your friends and family. Organize it. Have different people bring different things. This is a great way to begin to develop leadership in an easy setting. Non-threatening. You know you're going to like these people. And even if it goes terribly, look, it's only a dinner. Who cares, right? But you're going to have to really wrestle through the different organization skills. You're going to have to tell people what to bring and not to bring. You're going to have to figure out if someone doesn't bring something exactly that you wanted, what you're going to do. So this will help you develop some leadership skills. So those are the things that I encourage you to do. I am Tyler Dippery. I would love to meet you guys. I would love to talk with you. Check out more at my blog, tylerdippery.com. Check out my Facebook, Tyler Dippery Performance Coaching. Would love for you to reach out and love to get to know you. Let me know if I can ever help. Talk to you guys later.